Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're finally getting around to watching what was arguably the movie that saved cinema. I will argue against that because literally the winter beforehand, we had a Spider-Man movie that made over $1 billion. But sure, let's give all the credit to Tom Cruise. That's fine. I'm not bitter. I am. I absolutely am. We're discrediting the entire superhero genre when we say that Top Gun Maverick is the movie that saved cinema. But that being said, I'm finally getting around to watching it. I swear the reason I haven't watched it yet is not because I'm mad about that. It's solely because I haven't seen the first Top Gun movie. And I finally watched it at some point last year. And now I have a really good reason to watch it because the director, Joseph Kosinski... Did I say that correctly? I don't know. I'm going to put it up on the screen. He's directing the movie F1 that's coming out over the weekend, and I haven't seen a single movie that he's directed. That's wrong. He directed Tron Legacy. That's the only movie I've seen that he's directed so far. So I'm really excited to watch Top Gun Maverick. A lot of the trailers for F1 keeps being like, from the director of Top Gun Maverick. And they keep like talking about some of the cool behind the scenes stuff. Like they custom built the race cars for F1. That's so cool. And apparently they've done similar cool things for Top Gun Maverick. And now that I know this, I have to go watch Top Gun Maverick. So I'm going to be watching it. And this is going to be my review, obviously, after I see it. But I am going to go ahead and say it is streaming on Paramount Plus. I've complained about Paramount Plus in the past, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it here. So the way I'm watching this, for anybody who's like, oh my god, how do I watch this movie? I'm renting it off of YouTube. It's $4. What's a man got to do? It's okay. But like I said, I'm going to go pop that movie in, and then I'll come back with my immediate review. Let's do this.
Watch. Oh, it's Watch List Wednesday. I'll add it to the list.
Okay. Yep. Okay, you know what? They won me over. This was an insanely good movie. I'm not going to lie. This was phenomenal. I understand why this made over $1 billion. I understand why people love it so much. It absolutely deserved that praise. This movie feels through and through an entire summer movie. Like this entire film from start to finish feels like the perfect summer vibe. So this being a big summer blockbuster was absolutely made perfect sense. I get that. That is fantastic. Tom Cruise is phenomenal in this. Glenn Powell's phenomenal in this. Monica Bakarova, I probably just butchered her last name. I'm going to put it up on the screen as well. One of these days, I'm going to get good with names, and it's going to be beautiful, and we're going to be so proud of me. And then we also got Miles Teller, who I think is just such an incredible actor. And honestly, I don't understand how he hasn't really had like the same stardom as some of the other members of this cast. Like since this movie came out, Tom Cruise obviously has done 2 Mission Impossible movies that were really huge. Glenn Powell has done his crazy run that he did last year with like the Hitman movie, Anyone But You, the Twisters movie. He's been in like a bunch of really high profile stuff, and he's really starting to rise the ranks and be one of those people that people consider to be like the biggest movie stars on the planet. And somehow Miles Teller just hasn't really gotten to that point yet, and it blows my mind because Miles Teller has been incredible for a really long time. In fact, I would argue he was really fantastic in 2015. Oh, do you see what I did there? Was that clever? Was that good? Do we like that? No, we didn't like that? Okay, we're going to proceed now with the actual review for this movie. I'm sorry, I am all over the place right now. Okay, so starting off with some of the important things, I want to go ahead and say that the dogfight sequences are so insanely intense. They are incredibly beautiful. I think that all of the sequences with them training with the jets and stuff is really cool. I love the fact that we're not shying away from the fact that Tom Cruise is absolutely showboating, and he's supposed to be taking these things very seriously, but he's kind of like, you know what? These guys are showing, you know, hey, they're not as great as they think they are. And so his whole mission in this movie for like the first 2 acts is just to kind of show them that like they think they're the best of the best. They ain't got shit on him. He might be an old timer, but he can still do some really cool stuff, and I love that. I think that that's awesome. And overall, I really love the way that they just like build so much connections in this movie. I think that there's a lot of really great friendships and just different dynamics throughout this entire movie. Like I think that the entire cast bounces off of each other really well, and I love that because a big part of this film is about the fact that John Hamm and the other like colonel person who's, you know, in charge and overseeing this entire project are like, you sir, Mr. Tom Cruise, you need to make sure that these are a team and that they can do this mission because it's going to be damn near impossible, and they need to work absolutely flawlessly or this won't work. And so their different team building exercises that they're doing all throughout are great. And I like the way that they kind of go from really clashing heads when we first meet them with Glenn Powell just being an absolute dick to kind of everybody, and Miles Teller being a very like timid character, and the way that they kind of like bounce off of each other throughout the entire movie until we get to the end of the movie is so good. Like I absolutely love the way that these two are feuding with each other, and I think that those two actors really bounce off of each other insanely well. And like I said, pretty much the entire cast is like that. Like, I genuinely thought that this movie was absolutely fantastic. So I want to go ahead and say, I think that overall, this movie, fantastic. I think that the love story through line with Tom Cruise and his love interest was really great. I like the storyline of him kind of being at like the end of his rope with the whole wanting to be a, you know, pilot still, and the fact that like he's kind of a bit of a loose cannon. Nobody can really like tell him what to do. I'm starting to realize that Tom Cruise is slightly typecasted though. Does he do that in every role? Is that his character in every role? I've only seen 4 Tom Cruise movies, and every time I mention that I haven't seen that many Tom Cruise movies, people are like, what? That's insane. He's the man. And I will admit, he's an insanely cool dude, but also in all 4 of these movies, he's just kind of like that guy who like, they're like, hey, don't do this thing. And then he goes and does that thing. And then he finds some master plan and magically works everything out by the end of the day. And it is starting to get to a point where like anytime Tom Cruise is in danger, I'm not worried about him because it's like in his contract that he can't die or something. I don't know. That's a really weird nitpicky thing, and I'm really sorry for bringing that up. That's just like something that I've noticed over the last 4 months. I've watched like a decent bit of the Mission Impossible movies and stuff like that, and it really does start to feel like Tom Cruise plays the same character in those movies. Like every action movie I've seen him in, he's basically the same guy. That being said, does it work in this movie? Oh, absolutely. I think that him being a teacher is fantastic. I just overall love the... I want to say this is a trope where they have like a person who really doesn't want to be teaching people and they kind of force him to be teaching people. Like, it kind of makes me think of like Wolverine and some X-Men comics and stuff like that, where Professor X is like, nope, if you're going to be at the school, you have to be a teacher. And he's just like, what am I supposed to teach? And Professor X jokingly is just like, history, because he's super old. Anyways, I'm getting off topic again. My bad. I keep bringing this to Marvel stuff, and that's really not something I'm supposed to be doing. But in my defense, it's because I'm seeing Danny Ramirez, who plays Joaquin Torres in Marvel, and I'm seeing Louis Pullman, who now plays Bob Reynolds in Marvel. So I'm just like, I'm really out of it. I got really excited when I saw them actually interacting on screen together. Sorry, I'm a nerd right now. And I really enjoyed this movie. And it's one of those things where it's just like, this movie is damn near perfect, so I don't really know what necessarily to say about it, because everything that could be said about it that is positive has probably already been said on the internet. So just to kind of like wrap up my thoughts here, I think that this movie has an emotional through line between Rooster and Maverick that I wasn't really fully expecting. I think that Miles Teller and Tom Cruise work incredibly well together in the final mission where they have to work together to sneak onto a military Air Force base for the enemy, and then hijack a plane that is super duper old, somehow get it off the ground when they literally blew up their runway, and then somehow get it all the way back to their naval base, which is way, way, way out in the ocean. And I love the way that they were able to put them into such a weird situation scenario where they get to show off their strengths very well. They get to work together as a team, and just overall that kind of almost like father-son dynamic almost is really, really epic, and I love that. And I love some of the sequences. Like, my favorite probably lines of dialogue in this entire movie is Tom Cruise looks like he's about to die. He's about to get gunned down by a helicopter, and then Rooster risks his life to blow up that helicopter, and then he gets shot down. And then Tom Cruise goes, finds him in the middle of the woods, and he's just like, what were you thinking? And then he says, you told me not to think. That was a great scene. That was a phenomenal scene. This entire movie is just filled with great scenes. I really loved it. So yeah, if I had to give this movie a rating on a scale of 1 to 100, I'm going to give this movie a solid 97. I enjoyed this movie in insane amount. There's just so much fun. The music is incredibly lively. The great balls of fire sequence is fantastic. The football on the beach scene is fantastic. And like I said, this is just the ultimate summer movie. So I watched this at just the right time, and I really 10 out of 10 would recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. I really did not do a great job of touching on a lot of the things that happen in this movie. And truth be told, it's because there's a lot of characters and I really don't know how to dive into it. When the big thing is Glenn Powell versus Miles Teller, they kind of have this back and forth. Tom Cruise trying to figure out how to kind of be a dad of this dysfunctional found family trope, and then just all together they end up kind of working as a team at the end, and it's so flawless and perfect. I love that this movie kind of feels like a mix between a sports movie and a coming of age movie for the Miles Teller character. I loved it. I thought that was sick. So yeah, that being said, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. And if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe. And I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Pow, pow, pow.